Gary Quackenbush is sponsored by the Word on Wealth Radio Network.
The airing of this program by this station is not an endorsement or recommendation by the station of the products or services discussed in the program. The station does not guarantee the results of any investments made by a listener to this program.
This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney, protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now, here's Gary.
Did you ever wonder how much it would take to buy real estate? So let's say you're thinking, oh, San Diego, great place to own real property. I have a little bit of money. I don't know whether I could get rental real property or whether I could build my real property portfolio. Those are the questions you don't ever have the opportunity to ask of any real estate professional because they just got other things going on and maybe they don't want to talk about it. But today, right here on the show, we have Ken Pecus. He is here with us every Wednesday. He is our real estate expert. He is our trusted expert. You can believe everything he tells us, and he's on the air with us today. Okay, we have lines open to give you the opportunity to call and ask your questions. 888-344-1170. Ken, there you go. You are the expert, the number one real estate person on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I'll just go with that. I like that. I don't think we need to say anything else.
You're getting good at that because I prop you up and then you say, Gary, seriously, I'm not that, and I go, Ken, just relax. It's all true. Because I always talk about you, with people want to know a real estate professional. They go, do you know a real estate professional? I said, yeah, I do. Oh, can you recommend a couple of them? Nope. I got one. I give them your number. They go, really? I said, yeah, seriously. He's super helpful, super good guy. And you helped me with my wife's situation that she's involved in and my son, Tyler, who is, thank you very much for just a lot of the advice you gave me. We talked about it on the air last week. He's in escrow. Super cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
1966 house. Now they're going to the inspection. It's just funny. Inspections are funny. You go through this report and they go, 85 pages later, they go, my conclusion, this is an old house that was built a long time ago. It has some cracks in it, which is funny.
Well, remember, their job is, as an inspector, if they're doing it right, is just to point out everything. It doesn't mean that they don't have any idea what the negotiation was like. They don't have any idea of the terms. They're just trying to give you a good understanding of the house. You might be accepting all that. You might, maybe there's something to negotiate, but it's not necessarily a item checklist to say, here, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, please do this, or I'm going to pull out of the deal. It's simply a roadmap to your future in that property. And so good luck. I'm excited for him.
Absolutely. I am too. And it's been great. He calls me, he says, Dad, did you see that inspection report? I said, no, I wasn't in the office yesterday. Well, let me tell you about some of the questions. And it's interesting because what you really end up doing, I love it. I would love somebody to do that to my house that I own and I'm not selling or anything, and to go through that and say, here are the things, that are all the little things that are sideways, because I don't have all the little testers and all that. So you get your checklist, and some of it you go, we can't live with this. This is crazy. It has to be done really soon. This has to be done in a couple of years. So I loved it. So it's been a great process, and thanks again for your help on that. So you guys, you can have access to Ken too. You just got to call him 619-977-8419. Okay. We have our feature, and we're doing a weekly feature where we find out the highest and lowest sale prices of homes in San Diego County, but we're changing it up. Okay. We're going to pick a neighborhood.
Got to make changes.
Okay.
Got to make changes.
Absolutely. But my gosh, it's the real estate market. It's like it changed like today. So tell us about our new feature, and then let's pick a neighborhood.
All right. So everywhere, as we go forward, let's try to see if we can target some areas. So the way the data works for me is I have to do it by zip codes. It's a little tougher by individual neighborhoods. I mean, because one zip code could have like literally 3 neighborhoods in it, and each zip code is targeted with the overall name. And I thought for today we would start with kind of the middle of the heart of San Diego, even though it's not the heart of San Diego, but in terms of properties is like Rancho Bernardo. Because one thing I like about Rancho Bernardo, there's 2 zip codes, 92127 and 92128. It kind of streams a whole bunch of different price models and everything, because it includes the Crosby on the west, and includes a lot of condo development, right off the 15. So it gives a nice little look at it, including 4S.
Excellent.
So so for Rancho Bernardo, the lowest priced condo that sold in this past week was $525,000. And it was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 704 square feet. And it was pretty much kind of what I said, just off of the 15 in a nice little neighborhood over there. And by Coronado standards, 525 is actually pretty good for a 700 square foot, the building is only 2006 construction, so it's not very old. And
that's great. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so I kind of like that. And then I had to jump on to not the lowest house, because there was a little bit of mix up. So I just went for the highest sale in the neighborhood. And that non-surprisingly shows up over at the Crosby. And have you ever been to the Crosby?
I have driven by there. No.
It's super, super cool development. There's a number of developments.
2 minutes.
Like Gates, and I 138 square foot on a 1 acre lot, and it sold for 5.5 million. And it's what I love about the Crosby is that it is its own area, and it's gate guarded and everything, but the pricing for what you get is literally a great deal, because if you try to buy 5.5, I just closed 4.5 in Bankers Hill, and it
1 minute
square feet, you're getting for the same price per square foot up there as you are in mid city. So I think the Crosby is a great deal for somebody in that model, in that space.
Oh,
So.
absolutely. No, that's the thing. You get up kind of here, it's North County-ish. There's some beautiful places up here, and they have protections against overbuilding and stuff up here too, which is wonderful. All right, so cool. You got Ken Pecus here on the Word on Wealth. We got lines open, 888-344-1170. To get a hold of Ken directly, it's 619-977-8419. Okay, right when we come back, we're going to finish up our weekly feature, and then I'm going to get Ken right into market update. We got some interesting stuff on some Zillow type reports that I think are going to be fascinating. You listen to Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus and Gary Quackenbush, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
Gary, your team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do audit reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things after we analyze your situation. We can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep again. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecus and the Pecus Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecus has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecus Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecus is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecus.com. That's Ken Pecus, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Hi, this is Ken Anderson from Walter Anderson Nursery.
Call Gary and the team at GQ Law 855-500-TRUST or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQlaw.com 855-500-TRUST.
All right. You're here listening to The Word on Wealth. Thank you for being one of our listeners, our faithful listeners. We got Ken Pecus Wednesday today. It's our Real Estate Wednesday, our real estate guy. The man of the hour is Ken Pecus, and his number directly, because as we talk through this show, you're going to find other reasons that you want to talk to Ken about your own real estate. And the number is 619-977-8419, 977-8419. We were talking about our weekly feature, and that is the highs and lows. And we're picking a neighborhood. So we did zip codes 92127, 92128, which is basically Rancho Bernardo, a little bit into 4S. And so we got all different ranges. And Ken gave us a low and a high. Is there anything else on our feature that we want to go over, Ken, or do we want to jump into our latest market stuff?
The only thing from the feature is just overall in the county, and something to note is that we had a really, really slow August when it came down to sales. And so, back in the heyday, back in like 2004, 5, 6, we would have anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000 sales cumulative altogether a month. Just to give you a context right now, the last week we had 294 actual properties close escrow. So do a quick little multiplying, that's averaging like 1,200 monthly sales. And then we had about just under 400 go pending. And so if that holds for weeks, whatever, that's going to kind of pop it up to like 1,600. And when the overall market slowed down, we were saying, wow, it's down to like, 2,000 or 2,500 sales a month. This is even lower. So that gives credence to why values are staying up, because it's just the number of sales are way down because inventory is down, and And so it all comes together. So just being aware of it, you might hear the market's super slow. That might be coming from, people that are dependent upon on a lot of sales, like, lenders and real estate agents. They want the market to sell more. But the reality is, if you're a buyer or a seller, what that tells you is that the market, or what that's going to tell you right now, is the market is holding its price, which is a great lead-in to what we're talking about with Zillow in this.
Well,
so
the one thing about like in updating, and I know we're talking about this a little bit too, is like on mortgage rates, how they've been moving around. And I was interested that when Tyler's starting to get into it with qualifying for his mortgage, they're saying, yeah, you're going to be probably 7.65, 7.7, maybe 7.8 in the in your mortgage, and he actually got it slightly under 7, which I thought was great. There was like this dip, the market kind of dipped, and they grabbed the rate, locked in, and we're going to be able to get through. So it was kind of awesome. There's always these things. That's why we have you talking to us about here's what to watch for, and here's why this is this. And I think it helps us kind of be more confident in the market and realize this is kind of the world we live in, and it's nothing to freak out about. We just need to move forward.
Oh yeah, I think what you're going to see now, as last week we talked about the consumer spending was up and all unexpectedly. We'll see how this plays out, but I think what we're going to start seeing at some point here is an entry of more of those 30 due in 5s, 30 due in 7s, 30 due in 10s, and those partial one adjustment fixed rate loans will probably give a little bit of, as soon as that yield curve, the bond yield curve changes, that'll probably give some gift to the market, to people buying, and people really shouldn't think in terms of 30 years. Almost nobody holds their property for 30 years. I mean, if you hold your property for 7 to 10 years, that's pretty awesome. So, if you can get pricing that is going to let you be contained for 5, 7, or 10 years, that's pretty strong. And I wouldn't be paying for 30-year pricing. I would be paying for 5 or 7 or 10-year pricing. And then if it turns out you love the house or something, then you just look at the opportune time to refinance into 30-year financing, but not before. It's just for the last couple of years, you didn't have any problem because 30-year financing was in the 2s and 3%. So there's no decision to make. But now that the rates are back up to where they normally are for 30-year financing, you start shopping the adjustables, and they haven't been great, but they will start coming out.
So Ken, it seems like then, and we just, because we haven't seen this in several years, it's almost like people just don't really remember it about when usually, mortgage companies, the bottom line, lenders make money by lending money. They don't make money by withholding money. They want to do whatever they can to encourage people to borrow money, because that's how they make their living. And so they always come out with some products, and they come in they're available and then they're not available. The 30 due in 7, that's how I got into my first house, is it was a 30 due in 7 and a second, and to put them together. And it was like, and then after 7 years, we refied, dropped the rate way down, and the refinance paid off our second. And then we ended up selling that and getting into what we're in now. But, it's just a matter of, I think, what your message always seems to me is, the timing is right when the timing is right. You don't time the market and wait. Okay, I'm going to wait because I think houses are going to drop in 3 months. Let's time the market. That's kind of crazy. It's like, if you're going to buy a house, buy as much as you can, whatever you qualify for, and just shop in that. Set your standards at a certain level. And I know it's difficult when you go, gosh, but I'm buying next door to this person, and they bought their house for $400,000, and I got to pay $575. That I just can't do that. It's like, well, wait a minute. They bought their house a long time ago, and that's them. You focus on you and what you need to do and how you do your thing. And it's just like, it doesn't really matter what happens all around the neighborhood. What matters is what you are getting into and how you fall in love with and figure out how you're going to make this house work. And I think that's why it's like, stay in the market, stay with it.
Yep. Well, you said, couldn't say it even better. That's exactly it. Don't time it, and stop paying attention to what everybody else is doing. Pay attention to what you're doing, and does this make sense for you? If it doesn't make sense for you, don't do it. But chances are, if you dig down a little deeper and this is what you want, you're going to find something that makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll just go that direction. So, and I think everything will change because these Zillow things are very interesting. And I might be reading something into this, but I like to read things into things.
Yeah, it makes it fun.
So, and last Zillow, and I just want to be really clear. Last week I said it's you shouldn't be relying on these things to Zillow and these automated valuation stuff to give you guidance on where your values are, or whatever. But in this particular case, Zillow is also an aggregator of data. And so they do reports, and the reports are done on what has closed. So if it's being done on what has closed, then it's perfectly fine to look at their reports and see, because that'll show trends, just like when Redfin puts out a report, just like when when the government puts out reports, or when CoreLogic, it's based on what has already closed. That's done, there's no dispute. So this report is based on what has already closed, and they're tracking the top 50 areas, 50 metropolitan areas in the United States, okay? And it just came out, so they're looking back 1 year, August 2022 to August 2023. Remember, August 2022, the prices were just starting to drop because the rates started going up in April, May, June, and by the time we got to July, the pricing started to soften. August softened more, September, October, November softened more and more and more until it kind of stabilized. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at prices on a year over year, knowing that not only did the prices continue to go down from August last year, they had to come up again from that bottom to where these things are now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's just not just looking at it year over year and, hey, this is just what prices have done. These prices have roller coastered. There was a dramatic, change last year, went down and then came up. So here's some interesting stats. Out of the top 50 areas, metropolitan areas, 21 of them had actual year over year net declines. Okay. So that means 29 of them had net positive or flat. There was a couple that were flat, and then there were a few that then they started going net positive. And so what that means is whoever went positive, the 29, not only did they absorb and re-engage whatever they lost, within that year, they've come up to being higher than before they went down. Because we were talking about it you and I weren't talking about it last year, but I was talking to a lot of people about it last year. I said, don't worry, don't time the market. Don't worry, don't try to figure out where's the bottom. Just buy it, you'll be fine. Hold on to it for a few years and it'll even itself out. Well, the number one market in the country from August to August is Hartford, Connecticut. And it went up almost 10% year over year, 9.9. That's huge when you consider if they had to absorb any loss in the market. The biggest loss market in the country is Austin, Texas, from year over year. And what do we hear about Texas all the time, right? Austin, and all that sort of stuff. Everybody's leaving San Diego for Austin. I had a bunch of that stuff. Well, if you left San Diego and sold your property in July of last year, and you moved to Austin and bought a property in Austin in August of last year, well, whatever you bought in August stands a chance over on an average, and it lost 11.4%.
Wow.
However, if you sold in San Diego, or if you kept in San Diego actually from year over year went up 2.2%, which is great because, it went
2 minutes,
aimed that back, and then we still went up. Because I since January and February when we've been talking, I've been saying, hey, the prices are starting to go up. It's strong. So it recouped all of its loss and it still went up. So that's a net 13-something% if you had sold in San Diego and bought in Austin. That's a little dig for California versus Texas. There you go. In real estate. But,
it's kind of true.
Here's something. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out. But here's something really interesting. Out of the top 29 that have gone up in value, the vast majority are up in the Northeast, and they're in the upper Midwest. So like all the Rust Belt, like Indianapolis, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Buffalo, New York, like I said, New York City, Baltimore, Detroit, all of them were up. The only non-Northeast, upper Northeast area
1 minute.
that were in that list was San Diego, Los Angeles, Miami, and Orlando. Otherwise, it was all that part of the country. Now, on the flip side, the bottom, it's basically all the South, Southwest, and West and Rockies. So how interesting is that, right? I mean, it's like,
Wow.
wait, how does that happen? So I'm just wondering if this whole part about return to work and moving from remote working and things like that, if that might be having an effect as people are being forced to move back into some more business centers.
I see that. That's interesting. All right. This is fascinating. You guys keep listening. We're going to take a quick break. We got Ken Pecus from the Pecus Group at eXp Realty, 619-977-8419. Coming up next, we're going to talk about.
You've got questions. We've got answers.
Know.
This is the Word on Wealth with
Ultimate tease
of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com. $500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
Welcome to Word on Wealth. All right. We are talking about real estate. This is what we do every Wednesday with Ken Pecus. And every Wednesday we learn something new. I learn something new. That's like, wow, that's interesting. That's important. It's good to know. We're all in the real estate market, whether we live in it, whether we're renting from it, whether we're buying in it or selling. Real estate is where it's all about. And that's why we're just so happy to have Ken here with us on the Word on Wealth. His number is 619-977-8419. And let's see. So as far as we are talking about, I love the statistics and the numbers about the net up and the net down, and always hear things about, well, San Diego is doing up. I mean, I just know my solution in San Diego is really simple, right? I've been in San Diego my whole life. And it's like, I know
Just
since I
stay.
was a little kid, it's higher now.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to that, is that, look, we do live in an awesome place. We have issues. We have to deal with it. Every place does too. And at any given point, there's the greatest place in the country to live in, and there's whatever, but we live in a place that is very stable, very strong. The real estate values have been so consistent. So you need to, if you're going to be here and making your life here, consider making an investment, because you're probably not going to go wrong if you're in it for the long haul. So that's the long and the short of the Zillow thing. So
I love it. Ken is teaching a class Thursday, 50 people. This is great. I love it when you do these. You do these seminars to other professionals, and I really want to get into that a little bit. There's been a lot of changes, and I am excited for the seminar, because it's like the regulations regarding the ADUs, the auxiliary dwelling units, the ability to build on properties, that kind of ties into, I think, for me, it's like, oh, good, I can put a granny flat on my property and don't have the right don't need to have all the setbacks and permits and all that kind of regulation stuff. But then it seems like you always go a little further and go, actually, there's something even better than that. Not only one ADU, how many ADUs on a piece of property? So let's talk about that.
all right. So I just think this is a really good topic. The class tomorrow is more than ADUs. It's about a bunch of different aspects of the whole housing issue. So one thing you should know right now, San Diego, the city of San Diego, so let's be very clear, it's the city of San Diego, is really, like them, dislike them, go whatever you want to say, is really going after trying to address the dramatic housing shortage from years of stagnant building. And they've pretty much swung the pendulum to the other side with the help of the state, because the state has been passing so many different things. So they passed something in San Diego that is called, and I've touched on it, it's called complete communities. It's not what our topic is today here. It is one of my topics tomorrow. And by the way, that class is I've got more than 50 people have signed up. I've got a co-instructor, really close colleague of mine, and it bridges not just EXP, it bridges a bunches of different companies, because we try to be very collaborative within the agent community. And the more information you spread and the more knowledge you give to a lot of agents, the better chance you're going to have of having good deals to be made, right? So you want to share the wealth, so to speak.
Yes.
And so that's what's going on tomorrow. And one topic of my class tomorrow is what is the city of San Diego's bonus ADU program. Okay, so they have a bonus program, which can really, really help people that are trying to build up more rental income on their property. And in order to understand this, there's two things. There's two prerequisites to understand. There's something called a transit priority area, and there's something called a sustainable development area. The transit priority area is defined by the state, and it's been in the news a lot, whether people watch it or not. But the transit priority area, it's a geographic area that's within a half mile of major transit hubs. Like it could be like the not just a bus stop or whatever, but it has to be of a regional transit part. Okay, and the city of San Diego has a different part, which is just like the transit priority area, but it's called the sustainable development area. And then over the last few months, there've been all sorts of city council meetings, and they actually increased that radius from half a mile to 1 mile. Okay, and one of the things about the radius that it was increased from half a mile to 1 mile, they also changed the topic of the way the state did it to make it more about walking from that half or 1 mile to wherever that transit is. So what the city has done is that they have overlaid this sustainable development area all over the city of San Diego. Okay, they've overlaid it to see what parts of the city of San Diego. So that hits like cities, that hits like down in San Ysidro, close to the border, because that's city of San Diego. And then you have Chula Vista National City. It doesn't apply to that because those are separate cities. But then again, it starts up with the city of San Diego, and it goes all the way up to Rancho Bernardo, Penasquitos. It touches Poway, but Poway is its own city. And the same thing goes on up north San Diego, through just past Del Mar and everything. There's still some parts of the city of San Diego there. So in these sustainable development areas, they have put something in place that has caught the attention of a lot of people, but at least a lot of people that are in the know, and it's the bonus ADU area. So get this, everybody in the city of San Diego, if you have a single family house, whatever lot size, you're entitled to be able to put one ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit, and one junior ADU. You have that no matter what if you own a land in the city of San Diego and your land has what they call the right amount of floor area ratio left on it. Let's say you have let me give you an example. Let's say you have a 6,000 square foot lot and you have a 4,000 square foot house on it already. Okay, I'm just like that. Well, you've probably used up most of your in most single family neighborhoods, you've probably used up most of your available buildable square footage on your lot. But if you go through these neighborhoods, and let's say you're in Penasquitos, you'll see a house that's like 2,400 square feet. You'll see a house that's 3,600 square feet, and you'll see a house that's like 1,200 square feet. But they pretty much all have similar sized lots. They're just smaller houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're on the 1,200 square foot house or the 2,000, you probably have room to build an ADU, a granny flat, on the back and go with that route. So everybody can do that if it applies. But now with the sustainable development area over it, they allow you to build that, and then they allow you to build a junior ADU. But here's what they change. If you deed restrict that ADU, the second ADU, to low income, very low income, or moderate income, it doesn't matter which one, you can actually build another full market rate unrestricted ADU on your property.
Wow.
If you build another deed restricted ADU, you can build another full market rate, and you have no limitation and you have no parking requirements. So, So you're like, wait. What are you saying, Ken? Okay, right? So let me give you an example of how that would work. So, and by the way, there's a lot of available lots. So much of it in these sustainable development areas, almost everything in the middle of the city, all up and down the Mission Valley corridor, going from Highway 5 all the way through Grantville, through where the stadium is, going up to Serra Mesa. If you go up into Mira Mesa, if you go the
2 minutes
density city of like North Park, Normal Lights, all of that, heavy density right there. And so if you haven't been to North Park or Hillcrest or University Heights in the recent, you should go. You'll start seeing a whole bunch of very big buildings going on. You're going to see it in Bay Park, that area along the new trolley line. The Coastal Commission still manages height restriction stuff, when you get west of 5. So there's a little bit more there, but you got to be prepared for a lot more density coming. And so for people that are trying to create a portfolio of rental property,
Mm-hmm.
and you're restricted because you just don't have that much cash down payment, because to buy a big apartment building, if you want to buy 6 units or 10 units, often those units are going to be $3 million to $5 million, depending upon what you're buying and where you're going. Well, guess what?
1 minute.
Now, if you buy the right lot with the right lot size, and depending upon where you go, you can buy with just a single family house, and we can get up to 10 units. And I can show you how. And it's pretty cool.
Well, see, this is why we have you on with us. You're listening to The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush and Ken Pecus. Ken is our real estate expert. He's also the founder of the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. To get a hold of Ken, if you want to go check out their website, it's Ken Pecus, PECUS.com. You can see his people. You can see him. You can get the contact information, see what houses he's got up for sale. And we are talking specifically about how can you actually get a piece of property and build auxiliary dwelling units for income. We might be talking about how to put your stuff away for retirement right here on the Word on Wealth. We'll be back and we're going to talk more about ADUs here with Ken Pecus.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Well with Gary Quackenbush. We are here.
Hey, Gary,
Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
This time flies, and we got Ken Pecus for the right to the top of the hour. If you've got questions for him, you've been listening and trying to figure out, wow, these are great ideas. If you've got your own question, please call 888-344-1170. You can ask Ken yourself. In the meantime, if you want to go to Ken directly, go to his website, kenpecus.com. Pecus is P-E-C-U-S, kenpecus.com. Ken, man, the stuff you're talking about, this is such good stuff. I'm always furiously taking notes because I kind of expect what we're going to talk about, and then it just takes these different twists and turns. This is absolutely fascinating. So with the rules that we are talking about with ADUs, what's happening is, especially in the San Diego County area, is they're trying to make it so that housing is more dense, and they're trying to make it more financially enticing to do so by allowing these ADUs and reducing restrictions and changing things. I'm absolutely fascinated about what you're talking about. So if you don't have a lot of money to go and get into a duplex or triplex or quad or a sixplex or something like that, but you can find a property that has a big enough, you kind of calculate it out and go, whoa, if I bought that property and did this and this and this, then I can fit X number of ADUs on there times how much we're going to make on each one. And you can actually build a portfolio from there.
Exactly. So a couple things you need to understand. Floor area ratio, okay? You hear it all the time. If you get in it, your reticular activator will get there. You'll hear it as the FAR, floor area ratio, and that is a percentage that the city allows under whatever zoning that they'll allow you to build out a lot. So if your lot is 10,000 square feet and you have a FAR of say 55%, that means you can put 55% of 10,000, 5,500 square feet of structure on that lot, subject to their other requirements of, setbacks and coverage and things like that. Right. So what's great about this bonus ADU program is it doesn't matter what your zoning is, meaning in the terms of it can be an RS1-1, which is a single family, or it can be a multiple, like it's already zoned for a duplex or a quad. So it doesn't matter what that different zoning, because it doesn't change the underlying zoning. You have to follow the rules of the underlying zoning. So if it's a RM, chances are your coverage on a lot could be up to 75%. If it's an RS, chances are your coverage on the lot will be up to 55 or 60%. Okay, so a very, very good friend of mine who's taught me a lot of this stuff, and he's actually building it at the time, building one for himself. He bought a property in one of these sustainable development areas, and it was a 14,000 square foot lot. But I mean, it just was kind of a dumpy little duplex on a 14,000 square foot lot. Well, he was able to buy that in this normal neighborhood. You would normally pay probably like $600,000 or $550,000 for this neighborhood for a small rundown duplex. This cost $700,000. So on the surface, it looked like, wow, that's really expensive for that duplex. But the deal was it's sitting in the right space and it had 14,000 square feet. So here's what could happen with that. So he bought it for $700,000 and is able to, rehab the duplexes. They look great. He put money into the duplexes. But because it's 14,000 square feet, he can actually build 10,500 square foot of actual construction on that. So most units, most units are like maybe, anywhere from 600 to 800 square feet. It just depends on what you're building. You barely go to 1,000 square feet on a rental unit. So he not only redid his duplex, and that was done. What ended up happening is he got the duplex completely looking sparkling. It's pretty awesome. And he went ahead and then got the financing based on the new rents of that duplex plus the future rents of what he was going to build, and got the financing to build another market rate ADU and a deed restricted ADU. So I said earlier, it could be low income, very low income, or moderate income. The reason it can be either one, if it's moderate income, then you have to put a 15-year deed restriction on it. If it's low income, you have to put a 10-year deed restriction. But if you look at some of these neighborhoods and you're paying attention, because they published what the allowable income is, you start comparing the income to the size, and you're like, wait, that's kind of what the rent in this neighborhood is. So even though it's moderate income and you're structured to make your rent that way, for instance, in this particular property, a studio has to rent out at around $2,400. Well, it's hard to find a studio renting out, that in this neighborhood. If you could get $2,400 for a studio, that's freaking awesome. So it's not like it's putting that big of a, albatross around your head. So all of a sudden, he's already built his first ADU and deed restricted ADU. Now he has 4 units on the property that are income producing. He's been able to apply to his lender, and he's been able to go get standard financing, and he's going to be able to construct 6 more, 3 more market rate, 3 more. And so he's going to end up with 10 total units on this property. It's 14,000 square feet. There's apartments all around. So it's not like going out of the context of the thing. It's happening over the course of 4 or 5 years. Well, 3 or 4 years, I should say. And when it's all said and done, he's going to have a very, very valuable asset on this property that he could not have just gone in and bought if it was already 10 units built.
Interesting.
He's just waiting it out. And when you look at what we've talked about in the past about portfolio building, I've recommended, to people, well, let's go buy a duplex, let's go buy a triplex. let's bring the rents up, let's redo it. And then when the time is right, what we can do is we can sell it and do a 1031 exchange. And we can then do the 1031 exchange and go from the 2 units, and we can then go to the 4 units. And then we wait out a few more years. And once that 4 units gains equity and we pay down the loan a little bit and we put together a little bit more money, then what we could do, hey, now we can put that 4 units on the market, and we could do a 1031 exchange, take the equity and appreciation that you built, and let's go and see if we can find an 8-unit building or 6 or 10-unit building. And that's how we build it up over years. But in this particular case, you could potentially just buy it for the first time and keep it until you go into a 8 or 10-unit building. And at that point, you sell. Now, of course, you have to sell it with all the deed restrictions and everything. But the way pricing goes based on your rate of return and your income. The commercial loans were having trouble with ADUs in the past, but they're working their way through it. And so by the time you're out there, more than likely, you probably will not have problems getting it refinanced by, when somebody wants to buy it. Because financing is finally catching up to the concept of ADUs. It was a little bit behind.
Interesting. Now,
because they weren't like it.
Now, let me ask, first of all, one important thing, listening, Ken's number is 619-977-8419. If this is stuff that you don't have your favorite real estate agent helping you figure out how to build your portfolio using these concepts, call Ken, 619-977-8419, and let him become your favorite real estate professional. My question on these ADUs, is the ADU, is it always one story, or can you go multiple stories?
You can, no, it's not really defined by stories. It's defined by sizes.
Okay.
So it has to be a minimum of 150 square feet up to a maximum of 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
Unless you can actually even create an ADU out of an existing house. Let's say you have an existing house that has 2,000 square feet, and logically you can divide some of that 2,000 square feet off. You can create it out of there, and if it's out of an existing structure, they don't have the containment in terms of size on that. You can make it bigger if you want, depending upon what the property is. So yeah, no, I think you can have
2 minutes.
Townhouses. I'll say I'm going to give you a qualified 98%. I do not believe the floor plan will count, meaning that it's just a matter of square feet.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense, because when you hear it has to be at least 150 square feet. Obviously, that's not going to be 2 stories. That would be like a closet on top of a closet. But it's very interesting. Now we talk about ADUs and multiple ADUs, and I'm kind of envisioning this thing. I mean, the way my dad got started in real property, it was 60 years ago. When he was 25, he bought 3 one-bedroom cottages in Chula Vista, and ended up being, just kind of fixing. We always fix them up as a family, and we had to replumb them and do the hedging, and we just took care of these things. But over the years, it ended up being where he had that and another piece of property. He did some 1031s, but it was always the starting with the little and kind of building up. And I think a lot of what we're talking about is really patience. It's not timing the market. It's how to get in when you can get in. You guys, you can see Ken is our expert here on the Word on Wealth. He's a friend of mine. He's helped my family a lot. He's helped me personally and my wife with some of the stuff that we've been working on with real estate. So he's really the guy to know, the guy to have. He and his team are really incredible. 619-977-8419. If you like phone numbers. If you don't, then go to his website, Ken Pecus. It's Ken with one N, so KenPecus.com. And you can learn about his team, who he's got going, and where he is all over San Diego County, helping you with your real estate needs. We'll be back with you tomorrow with Anthony Wright, and we'll be back in a week with Ken Pecus. Call him in the meantime. Thanks, Ken, for being on today. It was awesome.
10 seconds.
All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995, with financial solutions attorney